Hi, Lance. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. Matt. I'm doing pretty well.
It's Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday, and we're like matchy twins wearing our summit shirts.
Yes. I've been wearing it for 2 days now. Am I not supposed to say that? Oh.
I don't know. It's okay. It's not the base layer, so as long as you're not wearing the base layer for 2 days.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
I could not have been wearing this for 2 days because it just came in today's mail.
Quarantine secrets. Let's just say that. Yep.
Right.
Hey, Steve. Glad you're here, man.
Hey, Steve. Hello. Greetings,
hello.
Everybody. We're back for another edition of Blogchat, and we're pulling one out of the can tonight, but it's not too far ago. It's back from the end of January when I wrote a post on train photographers. And due to the summit coming up, we didn't have time to talk about this one on Blogchat, so we're going to do it tonight. A topic that I've been interested in for a long time, and these we're going to be talking about images by a bunch of different night photographers who photograph specifically trains. Most people are familiar with O. Winston Link and his famous night photographs of the Norfolk and Western Railroad, the last operating steam railroad in the country, basically from 55 to 60, quite a while ago. But there are a number of other lesser known but equally fun and important photographers who did a lot of nighttime train photography, mostly in the second half of the 20th century. So
it's a great topic.
It is. It's fun.
I want to jump in with a personal story real quick. I need to Google him. I can't remember the guy. I ran a lab in my 20s, and there was a guy who was really into O. Winston Link, who only shot steam trains. I processed his E6 film. These beautiful shots of basically dusk and night photography of trains, and he was from the White House Station, New Jersey. There was some trains running through there and stuff too, but at the time I didn't know who he was idolizing.
What were the dates? This was
mid-90s.
Mid-90s. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm gonna while you're talking, I'm gonna probably start Googling him because you just brought back this fond memory of having these great talks with this guy about using flash bulbs to light trains and all this geeky stuff. It was fun.
Cool. Hey, I did a talk for a camera club, a Zoom talk last night, and one of the guys said that he's getting ready to go to a trolley graveyard.
Oh,
so streetcars in a, he's like Troy Pava, except streetcars instead of aircraft graveyards.
That sounds fun. Let's check in and see who's here. Hey, Teresa, you made it.
Hello there.
Fantastic. All right. Oh, good. Here we are. Make sure that you submit your questions or your thoughts or your anecdotes. We'd love to hear more. It's becoming a catchphrase. Hey, Juliet. Hi. You know what? I'm going to start by looking up Jim Boyd. Maybe that's who he was. I'm trying to remember. I wrote his name out on the slips so many times to process his E6, and then I ran into the back. So I'm going to have to go check. Hello, Hadley. How you doing?
Hey there, Hadley.
Hi, Paul.
Paul.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's hop in and give it a little whirl.
All right. Well, this. Speaking of railcar graveyards, this was a shot from the Southern Pacific Railway in Oakland, California, that I shot with Troy's brother, actually, Tom Pava, back in 1995, and we spent a couple of nights in this place. Oh boy! Speaking of bringing back memories, this is a place where my Pentax 67 medium format beast of a camera. Anybody remembers what that thing looks like? It was like a cinder block on a tripod that had film in it.
It was a louder ka-chunk than an RZ67. Oh yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, it was an SLR, but it took 120 or 220 roll film, and that thing was a beast. Anyway, this was a place where my camera was unfortunately misseated on the tripod and took a nosedive from eye level down onto that ground that you see there, asphalt pavement or concrete or something. Yeah.
Oh. So let's move on from this picture, although it's gorgeous.
Yes, indeed. Painful memories.
Oh my gosh. Here it is, a little bit cleaner. Look at that. Fantastic. Pentax 67 55. Oh, Fuji. I was thinking that's Fuji color. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
Combination of sodium vapor and Fuji color. Yeah. So, we mentioned O. Winston Link, and a lot of people are familiar with him. This is it Richard or Robert? I think it's Richard Steinheimer, contemporary of Link's. Actually, shooting in this case before Link got into the train photography, and when I was doing research for my first book on this and writing about 20th century night photographers, I came across all of these other train photographers basically because the estate of O. Winston Link wanted an insane amount of money to reproduce one of his images in my book. And I just like, no, I'm sorry, that's my entire budget to pay for, other people's images. So I came across, let me pull it out here. Switch to my screen here. Yeah. So this is Starlight on the Rails. I'm trying to get this with minimal reflection here. This is a book by photographer and author Jeff Bruce, Brouws. He's
spell that again.
Jeff Bruce, Brouws. And he's known for a couple of his own books, Inside the Live Reptile Tent and Highway. Yeah, there you go. But this came out in, let me look it up here. This came out around 2000, and it has the work of a lot of other train photographers. Anyway, I got in touch with Jeff. I was familiar with his work, and he told me about this book, and I came across Richard Steinheimer, who was one of the photographers in Starlight on the Rails, and he actually wrote the introduction to it. But by the time I was working on my book, he had unfortunately pretty advanced Alzheimer's, and I was kind of working with his wife. But yeah, there we go. Peoria's I would imagine that he's passed on by now. It was 2009 when I was talking with his wife, and he was in rough shape. So kind of a great loss. But and so right after the World War II, he was out there making these large format night train photographs. And unfortunately, Steinheimer and a lot of his other, contemporaries didn't get the attention or the appreciation that they really deserve. Because it's funny, if you know anything about Link, his sad tale of woe, of having basically being controlled and locked in the basement by his manipulative wife, who ended up stealing several hundred prints from him and telling all of his dealers that he had dementia and that they had to deal with her. It's a sordid tale. just at the time when Link was starting to get some notoriety for his work that hit. This is in the mid to late 1980s. He was in his 80s himself, and yeah, there's a documentary about it that's available on PBS. So yeah, his wife took his 1,500 prints or so and started selling them on eBay. She ended up being convicted, going to jail. While she was in jail, Link himself passed away, and then she was released. And within a couple of months, all of a sudden, these vintage signed O. Winston Link 16 by 20 prints started showing up on eBay. And there was a sting operation, and she was busted. And this time, they recovered most of the prints, and both her and her accomplice which of course was her lover, were caught and sent back to jail again. And those prints, unfortunately, went to the estate of Link. But yeah, so again, he shot this work in 1955 to 1960. It wasn't really recognized or appreciated until he was into his 80s in the mid 1980s. And anyway, but where I was going with this long-winded story was that, we all know Link, he didn't get his recognition until late in his life, but most of these other trained photographers didn't get the recognition, and really largely still haven't, outside of the even smaller circle of influence of trained photographers. If you think night photographers is a small niche, nighttime trained photographers is an equally passionate but even smaller kind of niche market.
It makes me think of Tom Johnson, who is one of the people who is deeply influential in establishing the Bannerman Trust on Polypel Island at the Bannerman Armory. Tom, a lifetime of being an educator, but also deep into trains. I believe he operated trains and stuff like that, but he really has a deep passion for trains too. And he is a photographer. So it makes me think of him. It's a niche of a niche of a niche. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so let's go back to the blog post for a minute and scroll down to those two little side-by-side images there, because that's pretty interesting. And when you were mentioning the guy that you were processing film for, I thought maybe for a second it was one of these guys. So this is two images by a collaborative called Rails After Dark. Howard Pincus, Bob Hart, and Al Papp. And the three of them, mostly in the 1980s, were train buffs, and they went out and recreated and photographed trains in the style of O. Winston Link. So,
on its
25 to 30 years later.
That's hilarious. I grew up near Basking Ridge and Summit. I lived next door to Summit at one point, and
wow.
One of the shops that I worked for, Sandrian Camera, had a shop in Basking Ridge. So, yeah, a lot of that lore was happening around me. Maybe it was one of these guys. I gotta ask Peter Sandrian if he's still around.
Yeah, except you were only about 10 or 12 years old at that time, I suppose.
Whatever. These are gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's again, this collaborative of three guys called Rails After Dark, and inspired largely by Link and the other trained photographers from the 50s and 60s. They went back and made these. And cool thing about what these guys did was not only were they shooting in the style of Link, they were using similar equipment, even though it was in the 1980s and there was, they could have used portable strobes. They were still using flash bulbs, which I thought was just really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, neat stuff. Yeah. So here we're coming up on Jack Delano. He was one of the WPA photographers working mostly after the war, here before the war, Farm Security Administration Works Project, and he spent quite a bit of time in Chicago, almost a year in Chicago, and spent a lot of time photographing the rail yards around Chicago. So these are 4x5 color transparencies from the early 1940s.
Impossible exposure.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Imagine the reciprocity failure and the limited dynamic range of the film.
It's
Yeah.
remarkable. Wow.
So, there's a lot of his work. Well, actually, almost all of it is available on the Library of Congress website. And this image was downloaded. A scan of that original 4x5 transparency as a great big, like 50 megabyte TIFF file, downloadable and public domain. So very, very cool stuff. There are a lot of his images of the railway workers walking through the train yards, swinging their lanterns, doing kind of a light painting, unbeknownst to them, doing some light painting for them.
So in your blog post, you sort of rolled into so a little BTS with a Winston Link. So how complicated were his setups?
Well, imagine photographing a gigantic black piece of heavy equipment against a black sky with very little time to get the shot. Sometimes the trains were moving. Sometimes he often had coordination and permission with the station managers, and they would sometimes they'd slow down or stop or hold the train for him for a minute or two. But it required hours and hours and hours of preparation. And he actually custom fabricated or had custom fabricated these giant reflectors that would hold like a dozen of the most powerful flash bulbs that were made. And he typically shot, because he's using flash bulbs and typically a couple of dozen flash bulbs for a single shot,
right,
you only get one chance at it. The train's not going to sit there while somebody goes, ow, 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 and trying to pull these
pops out all those flash bulbs.
Yeah, just wait a minute while I'm pulling these burning hot flash bulbs out of these things and trying to replace them. No. So he set up two 4x5 cameras side by side, and just, went for it. One shot, opened the shutter on both cameras, fired off the flash bulbs, and hoped and prayed that he got it. What I wonder is, did he process the two sheets of film separately, or did he go get nice and bold and do them both at the same time?
Whoa. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah, right. But, being a professional, I'm sure he did them one at a time. Because, if you never process film like that, most people think of processing a roll of film where it's all connected together, but individual sheets of film, there were two advantages to doing them separately. The first being that if you process one and you don't like the way it looked, you could make adjustments to the film. You could change the dilution of the developer, the agitation. You could cook it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter.
Yep. Change developer altogether. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Although that has a risk, because then you're starting from zero all over again, right?
True.
But it's also an insurance policy, in case somebody turns the light on in your dark room, or you inadvertently put the fixer before the developer. Not that I know anybody who ever did that, but it's, it provides an opportunity to just give yourself a little bit of reassurance that you've got a second chance if you screw something up.
Was Winston Lake the first recorded train photograph, or I think you had something different in there?
No. And I just learned about it when I was writing this blog. It's not an image that I was able to find online. And it's 1914. That's right. HL array. And unfortunately there's nothing nothing available online. The book Great Railroad Photographs is long out of print and $150 or so on the used market. So unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it, but be really cool to see it for sure sometime.
If you guys want to gift it to Lance, no, I'm just kidding.
It's on my wish list.
His Amazon wish list will be in the chat. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So yeah, Phillip Hastings and Delano were the two who were working in the 40s, and they were I think they were the first ones who really did a regular, made nighttime train photography a regular thing, as opposed to Ari's original one in 1914. Boy, that must have been a challenge.
Oh my gosh.
Doing it on glass plates. So, yeah. So one of the things I'd been thinking about doing for a long time is kind of there was a thing in the 80s and the 90s where people were doing these rephotographic surveys, and going back and rephotographing spots where historical photographs had been made, whether it was documenting a town or a place, or simply just tripod holes of famous photographers. But I've long wanted to go and try to find the spots where Link made some of his most famous photographs, and thought, well, what a cool project that would be, using the books and the images in the books and the locations as a reference, combined with of course Google Maps and the satellite view. So I've recently I started a custom map in Google, and I'm bookmarking all the locations where the photos were made.
Ooh. I like that.
Going to be very different photographs, of course, and as it should be.
For sure.
Probably not too many steam trains running on those tracks anymore, but I think it would be interesting. What Link in particular did along this one railway that went from Roanoke, Virginia, up into Ohio and Kentucky was not only, his goal was to document the last years of passenger steam railroads in the country. But what he kind of inadvertently did at the same time was record a dying way of life in these small towns. The towns, the railroad was the lifeline, was the lifeblood for these towns, and they didn't necessarily lie along the pathways of the interstate when the interstate roadways were built. So a lot of these towns were just kind of cut off from civilization and slowly petered out and died off back around 1960 or so. So, his images, because they're not only just the train pictures, they show the towns, the structures, the people, what they're doing. His most famous photograph of the Jaeger drive-in, with the train going behind the drive-in screen and the couple in the foreground in the convertible watching the movie. So it's a great freeze frame of the end of a couple of eras in American history. So I don't know. I think it would be cool to go back and find those spots and photograph the subways and the gas stations and the convenience stores that are there where the train depots used to be. Although I did find Rural Retreat, Virginia, which is one of his most famous shots, a guy holding up the lantern. It's just a really gorgeous one.
This one?
No, I don't think it's in.
Oh, darn it.
I don't think it's in the blog post. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It's the depot is now an art center.
Oh.
There's a little museum, and it's the claim to fame is Link's famous photograph because it is one of his best known images. But there's a little museum and an art center and an event space.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
So that building still exists, which was kind of cool. Oh, so while I've got this one out, this is Steam, Steel, and Stars, America's Last Steam Railroad. And this book focuses specifically on Link's night photographs and primarily, exclusively his night images. There's another one here, The Last Steam Railroad in America. See, it says text by Thomas Garver. Garver was his assistant, his primary assistant when he was doing that. This book has night photographs, day photographs, as well as the very few color images that he made are reproduced in here as well. There's the most recent book of Link's work is called A Life Along the Line. And it's a few years old. And for some reason, that one has become quite expensive. It's out of print and well over $100. But these other two that I just showed you, the Steam, Steel, and Stars and Last Steam Railroad, they're both pretty affordable and easy to come by.
I pasted them in the chat.
Thank you.
Yep.
One more.
Ghost Trains.
Ghost Trains. This is the first book. I picked this one up at Photo Eye in Santa Fe back in like 1992 or so when it was available. And it came with, unfortunately, my copy did not come with. You can maybe see
missing print.
Originally a 45 record
of
recordings that Link made of train whistles and calls and sounds.
That reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
When books came with records.
Yeah. Unfortunately, mine didn't, but yeah, this is even though this is a little small paperback book, this one is also pretty expensive these days. But so and again, let me give you another plug. Did you put Jeff Brew's Starlight on the Rails in there?
I believe I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one is also available at a very reasonable price. Yep. So if you're interested in exploring some of the other nighttime train photographers, that's definitely a worthwhile investment. So, yeah, there's one of Delano's images with the railman swinging the lantern, making a call. Basically, it's signaling to an approaching train.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I guess they had like their own version of semaphore, except with lanterns instead of flags.
Wonderful.
So.
Oh, Hank Williams, you had to.
I did. Yeah, I was listening to the Cowboy Junkies version of this song while I was writing the blog post, so had to put that in there. It's just such a poignant, beautiful song.
So, where did your fascination with rails and steam and all that happen? Was there a point that you can remember, or you say, when I saw this, trains just stuck in my head?
Well, I would have to say it was when I picked this book up, and yeah, I mean that was it. That was my first exposure to Link, and then tangential to that was a couple of years later going to Southern Pacific to shoot with Tom. Early in my career, I was mainly shooting in industrial areas,
right?
Heavy equipment and port facilities and any kind of industrial factory warehouses and train yards just went along with that. So
we got a good comment on this one. He's signaling back him up.
All right. Well, I think Fioria Videos ought to be doing this blog post because he probably knows more about these things than I do.
There, you know what? When you love trains, you love trains.
Yeah,
it's not something that I've studied as deeply or as lovingly as you or perhaps other people, but I bumped into people who absolutely love them, and their passion runs deep and their knowledge deeper. It's fascinating. Strangely enough, I can't remember a time when I haven't lived near a train. Like, I think just like my Flemington time, every other town I've lived in has been close to, I could hear a train from where I live. Every single other place. I've always been near a rail line.
Yeah, you've got one right now, don't you?
Oh, I mean, you experienced that in Catskill.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that run through, but I was thinking of in Queens, like the Acela ran like a couple 100 feet outside my window. So I mean,
Oh, wow.
yeah. You can hear it go bang, whop, 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 whop.
I got some friends in Greenfield, Mass, and there's a freight train that goes maybe, I don't know, 150 yards or so behind their property. And I spent a few nights there sleeping over at their place and awakened in the middle of the night thinking there was an earthquake because the house was shaking just a little, Yeah. But the weird thing is about that location is that the train line the railway was so craftily laid out that going through the town on your, day-to-day adventures, you almost never cross the tracks and would really not even know that it was there until you hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They're trying to reinstate 2 different Amtrak lines into Vermont that supposedly are going to happen later on this year. There's the Vermonter, and it might be the Nor'easter that both come up in here into Burlington. But we haven't had passenger rail for quite a long time. But it's going to happen again, and it's going to connect to New York City.
Well, that'll be interesting. I remember the slowest train ride I ever. Well, actually, I've taken 2 very slow train rides in my life. One was from Denmark down to Florence. It was a very long train ride.
Yeah, crossing a lot of cultural boundaries in that trip.
It was overnight. We passed through the Alps at night, and just massive shadows sliding by silently outside the windows. It was beautiful. And the other was I took the train from New York to Montreal, and that took 12 hours, primarily because of the border crossing. But it was kind of slow once you got to the Canada side. But there's still something really wonderful and elegant about riding on a train.
What's your favorite train ride of all time?
When I lived in Westchester, the Metro North, I mean, like, just looking out the window at the Hudson all the time, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So I have to say that one consistently delivered. Like if you were going early in the morning or late at night, especially, it's just perfect. You?
My most memorable trip was an overnight train ride from Atocha station in Madrid to Ceuta not Ceuta, Algeciras on the southern tip of Spain, where you get the ferry to cross over to Tangier.
You win.
It was spring. It was right around Easter time, and I woke up in the morning, and we were going through these orange groves, and they were all in blossom, and the smell of thousands of acres of orange trees in blossom was, wow, I never forget that.
Thank goodness you didn't have allergies to that.
Yeah, right. I did get in trouble on that.
It's so easy to get in trouble on a train, though. I mean,
yeah. Well, this was, yeah. It was 86. Yeah, 86. And I had a copy of Europe on $10 a day and Rick Steves' Europe Through the Back Door. And he was, making sure that everybody was very careful about pickpockets and being robbed and everything. So I had remember when people used to have their wallets on chains back in the day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had one of those dog collar wallet chains and a padlock, and I locked myself into the compartment so nobody would steal my stuff. And when the guy came around, opened the door to check my ticket, the door was locked. He was really pissed.
Oh. Whoa. That's a good story. I think we see one person has already shared that. It's like I forgot to say this. If you've had a great train ride, let us know in the comments. That'd be great. I mean, I've been having such a good talk with you here that it's not that I forgot that we have people with us, but there hasn't been a comment in a little while. So I'll just bring those up, Julian. Wow.
Oh, I bet it was. Wow.
Wow. What a time.
I didn't even know that there was passage at that time.
During the Cold War?
Yeah.
Is it pre? Man.
Cool.
Wow. Okay. Eli, Nevada. Ooh. You know what? Might be near there.
Oh, and you know
what? That up.
I guess I've been with Gabe and Tim to the Laws Railway Museum outside of Bishop, California, on our 2 National Parks at Night Eastern Sierra workshops that we've done. One was our MSP and then we did one too. That was it's a little tiny town that was built up around a railway stop in the Eastern Sierra, just outside of Bishop, and it's a restored, recreated, moved around, and put together, but not quite Disneyfied little town and railway museum called Laws, Laws.
Huh.
And if you're ever out in the Eastern Sierra, that's definitely worth a visit in the daytime. And they're pretty generous about letting us in there at night too. So,
gotcha. Well, this is what Hadley was talking about. Thought I'd just bring it up for everybody. I'm gonna leave something in the bottom right hand corner just so you can see what it's near.
Oh, near a Great Basin. You're gonna go check it out then, aren't you?
Maybe.
Cool. Thanks for that, Hadley.
Thanks for the tip. No. Papiero bitter. Oh yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna have to try to see if I can grab some of the trains passing through Catskill. I have one really good vantage point up above the trestle. There's a street above the train trestle, which is really hard to imagine, but it's that hilly here. So I'm gonna see if I can catch some of the trains coming through here.
Wow, Sandra, that sounds like quite a trip.
Whoa.
No kidding. Boy, I have not heard you talk about that adventure. That sounds like maybe in 2 weeks in Everglades we can hear that story.
That'd be great.
Yeah, cool.
Wow. Hi, Eunice.
Hey there. Yeah, you're so late to the party. It's almost over. I'm so sorry to say.
Well, it was a good night, Lance. Thanks for.
Yep. Thank you, Matt.
I was just kidding. No, we're kind of actually winding down here. So, but you can hit the rewind button. Be there for the whole thing. So. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, you've just mentioned one of the most exciting things is that. Like a turtle, we're cautiously poking our heads out, seeing what's going on, and starting to begin the business of workshops again. Isn't that exciting?
It is. It's tremendously exciting. And so Chris and Tim are in Charleston right now. They're just doing their first night of shooting on that workshop. We scheduled twice, but we finally pulled it off.
Amazing.
And 2 weeks from now, Chris and I will be down in Everglades. I know, I think Jay and Sandra will both be there. So.
Oh, there we go. Well, I tried to click on one, another one showed up. So Jay said he's trying to catch the Milky Way with the Bahia Honda Old Rail Bridge before Everglades. Cool.
All right. Well, maybe we will see you there, Jay.
Right. So I'm going to talk to Gabe about the. Oh, geez, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Maybe some of us will go check out that area when maybe we go to Great Basin. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, and Kelso in Mojave. That's a cool little train stop, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I've shot at Kelso. I have pictures of Kelso. I could pull them up right now. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yep. Kelso for sure. I mean, it's not the most picturesque. It's not bad. It's not bad, but I really do love the Mojave. Yep.
Yeah. There's another little train station town. I'm not remembering right now, but there. Oh, geez. In Marfa, Texas, too.
Oh yeah, Marfa. I mean, that's hipster famous, right?
Mm.
That is hipster famous.
Yeah, the Judd Foundation, and of course the famous Marfa Lights too. But there's some train photography to be done there too.
Yes, it's funny that makes me come kind of back full circle to thinking about my youth. There was in White House Station, which is the town next to where I did part of my growing up in Reddington Township, New Jersey, was a pretty beautiful train station. I want to see if I can pull it up, but I believe it was preserved. I think my dad had a hand in preserving it too. Railroad Field. Huh, look at that. I will see if I can find it. But it was really beautiful. Oh, now
hey, I just thought you got it to pull up there.
Oh yeah, it's relaxed outdoor dining now, so it's not really that sexy.
Well, what I was going to say is that just to diverge from trains a little bit, that working on a thematic project is a way to get back into the groove and get your stride back after being, on hiatus, as most of us have been for a year or so. If you're not sure where to go and how to get started and how to get back into it, find yourself or make yourself a little project. And I know you know that very well because you've done your own for the last few months. Right.
I took a little break after the summit, but I've been working on stuff for sure.
You sure have
stuff. Yeah.
Well, you've had multiple projects going on, from your Catskill nights to macro stuff.
Yep.
Plus work stuff. Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to fall in love with another niche in photography again, but I have. I really do love macro.
So maybe we'll see some little miniature light painted tableau images, a la David Leventhal or James Casaber from you.
Kind of working on it, yeah. I had this really complicated setup where the bokeh behind a coin shot was here. Was the
light painting brush, yeah.
Yeah, I had this behind the coin, just like sort of loosely spread out, and that was the beautiful background behind it. So I'm already taking some of the tools that we know and love and incorporating it into because like lighting for macro is just as meticulous, or even more so, as the light paint that we do on scene. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can't wait to do focus stacking and light painting macro stuff at night. And the things that this is funny, the synthesis, right? The things that I'm learning with macro being really meticulous about focus stacking are definitely going to make their way back into the night photography work that I do. Because what I know about focus stacking now, it's 100% more than I used to know. So, yeah. Yep.
I saw that comment from Teresa there. You want to pull that up for a sec? Yeah. So are you, is that
Nice.
81 days or 81 nights?
81 nights. Nights of days. 81 days that become nights.
Oh,
that's great, Teresa. Yeah.
Teresa?
Oh. What do we got here?
Oh, my goodness.
I almost knocked it all over. The blue book.
Another blue book. And you can maybe see on the edges of the book that it's the outline of an 8x10 sheet of transparency film.
That's so cool.
This is
the Skybook. Oh, cool.
So this is a beautiful book of photographs of the sky, all shot on 8x10 film by Richard Mizrack. And some of them are very subtle color fields. And of course, this is not doing us justice here, but with the reflection beautiful. Of my monitor.
I get it, though.
Yeah. So they're all minimalist sky pictures. Every one is a different color. Let me find a... Oh, there's the moon passing over Mono Lake.
Oh, wow.
And of course, there's some Star Trail ones. And they're not gonna show extremely well in this format, but
oh wow.
So Richard Mizrack is a photographer who has a long history of night photography dating back into 1969. His very first photo project was photographing homeless people on Telegraph Avenue in Berkeley at 3:00 in the morning. And it was designed as a social documentary project that he was, trying to basically raise awareness of homelessness and the problem of it. And the book was critically acclaimed, but did absolutely nothing for the homeless people. So he basically said, screw this, and has been a landscape photographer ever since. Still, but a politically motivated in much of his work, has been an activist photographer, but a fine art landscape photographer. So anyway.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of the other Trevor Paglin. You know of Trevor Paglin?
Mm-mm.
I'll have to share that with you. Trevor Paglin is a contemporary artist. We'll have to talk about him. I'm friends with his brother. Actually, Mabel's, known his brother for 10, 15 years. But Trevor is a world famous artist. He hikes out. One of his projects was he hiked out near military institutions and took long exposures of satellites and the patterns and all of that. And he was studying very specific things to raise awareness and study and find patterns and all of these things. And it's really fascinating. I will send you some information about Trevor. I bet you're really leaning into that one.
Yeah, cool. Reminds me a little bit of our friend James's Stellar Morse Code project.
That was fun.
He's still working on it.
didn't oh gosh, some of our other students were playing with that too.
Probably Dan and Erica.
It was Dan and Erica. Yeah. We're off topic here, but Steve, yes.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be difficult.
I've gotten up to 3 or 4 times magnification, but not quite micro yet. So, and I understand that it drives you crazy. We'll have to talk about that. I'm really curious.
I would think just getting the spiders to hold still long enough to do focus stacking on their eyes would be a challenge.
You know what? We're totally off topic, but since we're off topic, one of the things that I learned is that, of course, your magnification goes down. It's simple math, but you can use your telephoto lenses for macro. You just need to increase the distance between the lens and the body, so you get an auto bellows. And you can actually put 2 pairs of bellows together. Oh, we're just going back to what we used to do with large format cameras. I remember with my Toy OG, I actually had 2 sets of long bellows together, and I had like this super macro 4x5 camera back in the day. So what's old is new again with me. So
yeah.
So I put my 70 to 200 on an auto bellows, and I think I read about somebody who was doing this. What it does is gives you some breathing room, so you don't startle the things that you're making macro of. So you're not like right up on it like this,
yeah. So what's your working distance at 200 millimeters with a bellows?
About 2 feet, I think. Yeah, I would set it up again, but it was something that wouldn't alarm most critters. Insects, I would say. So anyway, and they're right. The cold slows them down. So if you're shooting them in the morning, it's the best. So,
or if you just put them in the fridge for a few hours.
Oh gosh, that too. Let's be humane.
Well, fridge. I didn't say freezer.
I know. Circular panos. Oh, those are fun too. That's funny. I'm working with a gimbal now, and the thing I love about the gimbal is shooting straight up is very easy. Just boop, you go up to 90 degrees and lock it down. Much easier than on just a regular tripod head. So circular panos, that stuff is crazy and fun too, and finding your zero parallax point and all that stuff. Yeah.
Check this out, Teresa.
Ooh.
This is a photographer named George Bertisevic who photographed in Tibet in the 1980s with a 360-degree panoramic camera. And so this is a group of Tibetan monks standing in a circle around him. And he's got this camera mounted on a tripod over his head so he doesn't show up in it. So, imagine, fold this into a circle and the photographer is in the middle. So George Bertisevic, Berticevic.
I'm not going to type that one.
Well, there's not a whole lot of his work online, so I don't think he's got an Instagram account.
No.
But when Teresa said circular panorama, that's just like, I remember that I just found this postcard a couple of days ago.
Wow. Oh, cool. Wow. Bertisevic. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, so you can refrigerate them. They go right. Okay. I have lots to learn. You know what I love about this is like I feel very confident about exploring night photography and going deeper into it and learning more about it. But it's an area of great confidence for me, right? With macro, I'm in an area where I'm less confident, and it's exciting to be like, oh, there's so much that I don't know. So I'm consuming all of this and like really getting deeper into it. So, yeah.
Yeah. When you bring living creatures into it, that's just a whole nother can of worms, right?
Yeah. Not yet. I think I'm leaning more towards expressing my video wants with macro.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I'm looking. I love stacking. I mean, like you think stacking star trails is a pain in the ass. I mean, stacking for macro is a real pain in the ass because sometimes you're at 90, 150 images. So,
Wow.
and you're
With
talking
a
about fractions of a millimeter in your
depth of field
focal
there.
point. Yeah,
Wow.
of adjusting the focus rail. So, whatever. That's not for this talk, but I'm just saying it's fascinating. It's fun. So,
Cool. Hey, I've got one more funny little off-topic anecdote to wind us out here.
yeah.
So I had an appointment this morning at my mechanic to take off my snow tires and put the regular tires on. And of course, listening to NPR, having coffee this morning, they say, well, we're going to get 5 inches of snow on Thursday. But I went for it anyway. And I get down to the mechanic, and this is a little small town in Vermont. It's not, it's just a little place in the middle of nowhere. And in the waiting area, there are several holes cut in the wall behind the chairs where we're sitting, about a foot square. And there's a bunch of mouse traps on the floor. I'm like, what the hell? You guys have a rodent problem? Something going on? And it's a mystery. It's a great mystery. It's a husband and wife that run this place. The husband is the mechanic, and the wife is the office person who does the administrative work and checks everybody in. So I'm in there chatting with her, and she's telling me that the day before she had put a big bag of Dum Dum lollipops in a big bowl on the counter.
Oh.
And she came in this morning and there were no lollipops. Gone. Just no trace of them anywhere. Completely gone. 100% disappeared. And so she's asking her husband if he took them all, and just like, no, man, it wasn't me. There was a small hole in the floor where a pipe came through, and there was a little bit of space, like, maybe like an inch wide, where bigger than the pipe. And for some reason, they were trying to figure out, they couldn't figure out what the hell it is. And so he's like, all right, hell with it. And he gets out his multi-tool and cuts a hole in the wall. And inside the wall are all of the lollipops. None of them had been unwrapped. None of them had been eaten, but they're every single one of them inside the wall, right inside of this hole.
I thought Stephen King lived in Maine, not Vermont.
Right, man. It's like the weirdest thing. So they don't have any kids who could have done this. The husband swears he didn't do it, and he tells his wife, "You think I would cut a hole in the wall if I'm just pulling a joke on you?"
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going back with Catherine's car tomorrow to get her tires changed over, and we'll see if they solve the mystery.
Stay tuned next week, folks.
Right. I know they came out of nowhere, but Stephen is spider eyes just had me thinking about critters and mysteries.
Oh, so I guess us wearing these sweatshirts means that we should tell everybody who's been waiting for their shirt to arrive that all of those delays that the printer was having are pretty much done. So you should, if you don't have it already, you should be receiving it shortly.
That's right.
Is that accurate? Yeah.
Yeah, I've received a box today with this sweatshirt and all of the international T-shirts, which I'll be mailing out tomorrow.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Cool. So I guess I have to show this one.
I don't know. It was a big sloped ceramic bowl that was, like maybe almost 8 inches high. Mouse couldn't climb into that thing. There's just no way. So, they're thinking maybe it's a red squirrel, but I think it's a person, because none of every single one of them was completely inside the wall, and none of them were opened or eaten.
Yeah, I go back to Stephen King.
Blog chat.
Stephen King. Definitely Stephen King. Yep.
Could be.
Needful mice. I don't know.
Well, there
Must
were
be
no
Tuesday.
lollipops today anyway.
Yeah, no lollipops. Well, you probably wouldn't eat the lollipop anyway, would you?
I have the lifesavers sometimes when they have lifesavers there.
What flavor?
They're always wintergreen.
That's the one, right?
That's
Isn't
the one that they have, and it's the individually wrapped big ones that are like the size of a $50 or something.
Are those the one that spark in the dark when you bite them?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're really
Nice.
off topic tonight.
Have a good night, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, here we go. There we go. Here's a great comment.
And I
He was
hope
definitely
you're talking
referring to
about
you.
her Summit T-shirt and not the lifesavers.
Yeah, no, he's definitely talking about you, Teresa. The shirt was also glowing. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Well, it's been a
not
pleasure.
quite enough to read by.
It's been a pleasure going off the rails with you, Lance. Fun for you.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Goodness.
Well, we can't wait to see you guys. Magpie. We can't wait to see you guys at a workshop around here shooting. All the good stuff. We hope that you continue to be healthy and happy and following your creative dreams. And we look forward to the next installment of this. Let's see what's going on. This week, I need to go find out what's happening tomorrow. We have David Marks, right?
One of our
March
speakers.
31st. That's right. Oh, that's going to be a good one. I'm going to share this. So tomorrow on Instagram Live, we have David Marks. And his talk at the Night Photo Summit was thrilling. So I can't wait to see what they talk about this time.
Yeah, he got such a great comment. Russell Brown from Adobe said, "Wow, David Marks is the best photography teacher I've ever seen." So
Nice.
high praise.
High praise. So we will see you on Instagram tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Lance, always fun reminiscing with you.
Fun going off the rails, yeah.
And maybe I'll see you soon and we can go shoot Catskill.
How about Sunday?
Sunday sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Everybody else?
I'm passing through, but good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good night. Take care.